first day of IRIA 2026. And on the first day, we have the first guest of Radio Talk podcast. This is Dr. Diva Shah. Thank you so much, ma'am, for doing this for us.
Thank you so much.
Right. And today we'll be talking about at length about the super specialty that you have done, that is in onco imaging and head and neck imaging. And later on, I also want to delve a little bit into the new modality that you are developing to give better services, that is hybrid imaging. So
Sure.
let's dive right into it. And first, I want to understand how a young radiologist, straight out of BJ Medical College, is going and finding herself in barely 3-month period in halls of Tata Memorial Hospital, pursuing a super specialty, which is like being thrown into the deep end.
First of all, I would like to congratulate all of you, you and the team, and of course the mentors for this wonderful, wonderful initiative.
Thank you so much.
I'm deeply appreciated and deeply honored for this first interview by you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
It's been a great pleasure. So, if I talk about my journey, yes, I've started my MBBS in 1997. And in second MBBS, I have decided that I want to pursue radiology.
Okay.
So that was a dream when I was seeing black and white with some colors. And my passion was painting.
Okay.
And I have entered into medical field. So I want to see the colorful branch.
Right.
But somehow the radiology was started with the black and whites.
Right.
And today I am with the colors. Into
Yes.
that, I've added the colors
Right.
with the technology. So my career started in radiology in 2003.
Okay.
In 2006, I have completed my MD. And after MD, during MD, I have a dream that I want to do something focus in particular subject. And with the destiny, it has led me into Tata Memorial Hospital. And that is how my journey of cancer imaging has started.
Right. And what was the thought process behind choosing cancer imaging and onco imaging?
Okay, good question. So during my PG, I was a part of BJ Medical College where I used to do general radiology.
Right.
I was not a part of cancer specific radiology. So that was an area which was lacking during my residency. So that was the first thing. And as I said, I want to pursue something focused and I want to go to some tertiary care center where I get an ample of experience for that particular branch. And that is how the journey
And
has
of course,
started.
what better place than Tata Memorial itself?
Yes, of
Superb.
course.
And was cancer imaging the always go-to branch, or did you have any other super specialty branches of radiology in mind?
Very good. So actually my passion and interest started with the neuroradiology.
Okay.
And I want to pursue that actually as a career. But somehow it was destined to enter into the another field. And when I landed up into the Tata Memorial
Right.
Hospital, I got more interest into this field. And that is how I started working more for onco-specific work.
Right. And today, even after doing, there's a lot of, already there's enough awareness about onco imaging, cancer imaging as a field and a super specialty branch. But even then, if young radiologists want to go ahead and pursue this branch, then how can they go about doing this? Like, are there any preparations that they should start doing even before the residency ends? Or when should they start putting and nurturing this SID?
See, I would say that radiology resident who are into radiology, first of all, they should get a clear and complete idea of general radiology.
Right.
So it includes a conventional radiology, it includes various subspecialty that can be MSK, musculoskeletal, that can be neuro, that can be gynec, and then gradually they start understanding that what each branch demands.
Right.
And after that, there are various fellowships, various observerships programs which are available with the lead of Indian Academic Institute of Radiology. There are many fellowships which are happening, and with that, they should start preparing that in which branch he or she wants to pursue a career ahead.
Right.
And that is how they can. But initially, I would say they should have idea about the general radiology, which includes the entire spectrum of
Right.
the radiology, which is very important.
Correct. And moving on a little further into your career now, cancer imaging, of course, you started off, and then you also did a little bit of specialization focused area that is in head and neck imaging. So how did that go about into coming?
So, in cancer, the head and neck imaging, I am from Gujarat.
Right.
So, in Gujarat, the head and neck cancers are very prevalent due to the tobacco habits. And that is how, when I came back to Gujarat, so I used to get a lot of cases for that kind of patients. And I was always being a part of more interested into the neuro head neck, of course, one of my interest of subject. It's a small area, but very complex area. Lot of vital structures, lot of spaces, and that is how my interest and my career has go ahead with that onco-specific and head and neck cancers.
Right. And as you yourself said that it's a small area, but very very complex, very convoluted, and very difficult to understand.
True.
So, what practices can young radiologists or people who are trying to upskill into head and neck imaging focus on, and what kind of knowledge should they go and pursue to excel in this?
Correct. So, head neck, since anatomically it's a very challenging area, I would say. So, basically, for a student, they should, for any anatomical area, for any radiology subspecialty, they should be thorough in the anatomy. That is most important. And second most important is they should be always communicating with the clinician.
Right.
So these are the two areas which are very important for a person to understand, and they should be doing some practical challenging cases for that particular subspecialties, and that is how they can upgrade their knowledge in that particular subspecialty, whether it's head neck or it's any other subspecialty.
Right. So basics first is always the way to go. Now I absolutely agree with you on that part, that one must have their foundations ready, and general radiology itself should be thorough. They must be, if they are pursuing excellence. But how come, when and what is the way in which a thinking differs of a really super specialty radiologist like yourself who is doing onco imaging and someone who is still doing general radiology, or someone wants to transition? What is the transition in mindset they need to add?
True. It's a very good question, and I'm sure a lot of young aspirers, they are facing these dilemmas, because when you are moving from general radiology to any subspecialty, whether it's onco imaging, it's head neck, or it's because you are narrowing down your field from general to. So it has a pros and cons, I would say.
Correct.
That cons means you are not able to work on all the general subsets. So that's a con, but simultaneously you are super specializing, you are getting more confident. I would say it's an era of a super specialty, not just in radiology, for entire medical field.
Correct.
So every doctor wants an expert opinion for the diagnostic point of view for that particular branch. So that is how it's always like I would say it's not jack of all, it's like master of one thing, which is important. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Now, as you said, you want to excel, you keep narrowing down.
Yes.
In one field.
Yes.
But at the same time, there has come about, and I think it is a necessary and a very good thing that it is happening, that people are now going towards integrated imaging, wherein they are taking into consideration multidisciplinary focuses. You have to communicate with the oncologist, you are communicating with your pathologist, and so on and so forth. And especially, I know in your history that you have worked in a center like ITCG, where you were able to closely communicate with clinicians and collaborate in that sense.
True.
So how does that benefit a radiologist who is especially going for super specialty?
Very good question, and I would say it is one of the most important part of a radiologist. I would say one word, be a clinical radiologist, where you are communicating with your each and every part of the multidisciplinary team, and it's one of the most root aspect of an onco imaging, that you are communicating with your clinicians what actually they want from you. You are communicating with your pathologist. So definitely it is very beneficial to a person who is pursuing their career in this subspecialty, that they should work with a very strong headed clinical team.
Right.
Where I would say onco imaging is not just about detecting a cancer.
Yeah.
It's a holistic approach. It's a patient-centric approach, and be a part of that multidisciplinary team.
Yes, exactly what tumor boards are also trying
Yes.
to do with patient treatment and management.
Yes.
So this can be the next question that I'm going to ask will be also useful to a lot of lay people as well, not just radiologists. And I myself want to learn from you.
Okay.
So I have seen you work, and I've had the good pleasure of observing you when you are working. And as you said that you are very, you lead with that example. I have seen you communicate with the patient, with the family of the patient, with
True.
the doctor, with the referring clinician. So you are truly clinicians, radiologists. Now, but at the same time, today is a world that where we live in is of overwhelming connectedness through social media, through WhatsApp, and through messages.
True.
So one can feel easily overwhelmed, even though they want to communicate. But I myself go through this a lot. There's this communication anxiety that sometimes I feel. So how do you maintain a good communication channel without being overwhelmed?
True. So basically, I would say that whenever I have kept this approach, whenever I am seeing any scan for any particular patient, I would make it sure that I would try to see that patient clinically once. So that is
Okay.
first level of communication, which is
Right. Again, going back to the basics.
yes. So
Right.
that's the first level of communication. Second thing, if any clinician who has referred me something
Right.
that please see this, then in that scenario, I will definitely talk to my clinician before finalizing that particular diagnosis, that actually what he wants from my report or for that investigation. So it should be patient centric and doctor centric.
Right.
So that's how it happens, that it is always to be communicated with the patient and the doctors.
Super. Thank you. Now, my next question is about making things formal. You yourself pursued a very formal fellowship from Tata Memorial.
True.
And I just want to understand how important that is. Like, and what should kids go and do, like young radiologists who want to upskill into how important is a formal training for them,
Yes.
and how important they can get it from platforms such as RedNexa, how they can pursue certificate courses on onco imaging and all those things, and I think they are also giving a good convergence of both on-site training as well as
Yes.
online training.
Trainings.
So how important is that for you?
Yeah, I would say that in the era of this social medias and lot of online platform, they are definitely giving a lot of benefits to young aspirers. So they are definitely going to get benefited. But I would say that practically when you are pursuing a career in particular subspecialty, you should have on-site experience along with this online platforms from a tertiary care center or from high-end volume centers who are doing that particular subspecialties. Along with that, you should have this kind of online fellowship programs,
Right.
which really add, I would say, they are the cherry on the cake.
Right. Absolutely.
So that is how they
Correct.
help you.
Absolutely.
for
Absolutely. They make it
making
also
you-
convenient.
They make you more smoother
Yeah.
and more confident about what actually you are doing.
Yes. So when you go to cut the knife and you take the knife and go to cut it, you
Yes.
have all the confidence that you
Yes.
need. Absolutely. Now we have learned everything that one must do to pursue all the things in the super specialty.
Correct.
What are the things and pitfalls that young radiologists should avoid?
That's also again a good question. I think the era is changing, but I would say that if I want to pursue a fellowship for any particular subject, I would say that you narrow down the field for that particular area. But simultaneously I would say you grow with the technology, but simultaneously you do all modalities for that particular subspecialty. For example, if I am pursuing a career in cancer specific radiology, in that when I am doing the high end investigation, that is hybrid imaging, simultaneously I will look certain things in ultrasound also.
Right.
So if you are doing all modalities, it is really helpful for the diagnosis of the patient
Correct.
many a times.
Right.
So this is very important. Second thing, always try to grab your experience, as I said, from high-end center where there is a more work experience for that particular subspecialty. Pursue some good online teaching courses along with what you are doing. So these are the points which I would suggest, which is very important
Correct.
for young kids.
Absolutely. Now, I want to dive into something that you are very passionate about, and you have already hinted about adding colors to the gray and white.
Right.
So, I want to get into what is hybrid imaging.
Okay. So basically, hybrid imaging is now, it's an era of a hybrid technology, I think, for the vegetables, fruits, lot of things. It's basically to get a better version of what you are doing or what you are seeing. So same thing in radiology, it's about a combination of a functional imaging and the anatomical imaging. That is, so if I talk about the evaluation of the radiology, it was started with a X-ray film where our doctors used to develop those films. Today we are in the era of AI. So here we are fusing two high-end technology. So where we are getting the information about the functional part of the tumor
Right.
along with the anatomical aspects, which is really beneficial for particularly in the field of cancer imaging.
Right.
So if I talk about more about the hybrid imaging, it was evaluated before 10 years with combination of nuclear medicine, that is the PET, and the CT scan.
Okay.
And now I would say the time has come to, again there is a fusion of a PET along with the MR.
Right.
So there are this kind of hybrid imaging concepts for diagnosis and better diagnosis of this kind of complex cancer scenarios.
Okay. Very interesting. That is genuinely very interesting, and I think that will definitely add a lot of value to patient treatment management.
Definitely.
And what are some things that are coming even newer than hybrid imaging or to hybrid imaging which are exciting you right now?
So I would say oncology has a lot of excitement.
Right.
And it's not just about hybrid imaging, but it's about molecular imaging, new tracers, cancer specific, various cardiac specific tracers. I would also say that the time will come that it's not about diagnosis, but it's about prevention, and it's about the diagnosis at the molecular level, where the molecular signs of cancer, which has already appeared in the patient's, in the person's body, but right now we are not able to detect it. So there are new subtypes of texture analysis, AI modules. So I think it's a lot of about new excitement, and I'm sure it is growing like anything, like every other subsets.
Yes.
Of it. So excited about those new things.
And I mean, always, whenever there are new things coming in the field, the early adapters will always be the people who can teach it online, right? Because it becomes very easy for them, because even when we understand that, going to the center and actually experiencing it, doing the reports will never be replaceable.
Yes.
But at the same time, it is not accessible to all.
Yes.
So if we make it, peripheral and proliferated everywhere, so people can learn it very easily. You are absolutely true about it.
I'm sure.
Now I want to talk about something that is very impressive that you have done. You have been a member of ISHNR, the Indian Society of Head and Neck Radiology.
Yes.
Then you were a member of SOICON, BCCON,
Yes.
and of course IRIA. We are currently at IRIA 2026. And you are not just a member, you have been a very active member, you have been a secretary level member, you have you've been an editor, you've been amazing things for all of these societies. I want to understand, how have you personally benefited as a professional from these non-profit organizations?
Correct.
And how they have helped build you, Dr. Diva, as a person?
True. So I would say that it is about academics. It's not about making a business or benefits, but it has really benefited not just as a forum, but as an individual level. So it develops a field of educational society, and I'm really proud to be part of those platforms which has really make me grown for that particular subspecialty. And of course, with that platform, I would say many youngsters are being benefited. So if I talk about the Indian Society of Head and Neck Radiology, although it's a small society at present with around 90 members, but we have our website where we upload every various kind of case of the week.
Right.
So that really help young generations,
Absolutely.
professionals, practitioners.
Right.
So that is how it gives a really kind of a satisfaction being into this field. So this subspecialty is actually making up pillars for the entire radiology society.
And more than that, I feel that this is just my personal view, but I feel that traveling, meeting interesting people,
Yes, of
makes
course.
you yourself a
Yes.
little bit more richer.
Of course.
And has these societies, traveling for these societies, for these conferences,
True.
changed you in a person in non-technical, non-radiological way?
Yes, of course. So I would say that it gives you, I mean, it's not just about radiology, it's about making new friends.
Right.
It's about doing something new other than radiology, where, for example, where I get connected with one of the radiologists who is very good in painting, and which was my passion.
Wow.
So these are the small things which, which adds up, more liveliness in your life.
Right.
So you are absolutely correct. It's not just about radiology, but it's about living a life, truly, in a
Right.
true sense.
And I think we might invite you to Red Nexa to host a really good course on onco imaging or head and neck imaging. But
Sure.
I think more than that, we will want you for a painting course. The way you have been going on about painting and
True,
everything. And I
true.
think it is necessary. I think it edifies the soul and brings a lot of depth to a person.
I would say that's actually a passion,
Right,
and I really want to pursue that.
right. So,
I mean, I don't know, given an opportunity, I want to paint some signs, something for the radiology.
oh wow, that is beautiful. I think that is, I think that's a really novel thought.
Let's see.
Amazing. No, you will do it. And I'm sure that you will do it in the same brilliant fashion that you do everything. And now, be ready because we're going to in the rapid fire round,
Interesting.
career edition. Head and neck imaging as a career in one word.
It's very challenging and exciting.
Okay. One non-negotiable skill for success in this field.
Be a clinical radiologist.
Yes. One career mistake aspiring specialist should avoid.
Yeah. So, whatever you aspire as a subspecialty, do all modalities for that particular region, which is very important.
One habit, radiological or personal, that you do daily that has helped you become the person that you are today.
Be a good communication with clinicians and your patients.
Superb. One misconception about oncoimaging you would like to correct people.
I would say, like, it's not just about detecting the cancer, that here is the cancer. It's about a holistic approach and be a part of that multidisciplinary team.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think you were exceptional. And in closing, I just want you to say one last few words. If there was one aspiring oncoimaging student right in front of you, what are the final thoughts that you would want to give to them?
I would say, like, go and live your dreams with an exciting field where there are a lot of new things are coming.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, you should not forget about that it's a holistic approach for the patient. It's not just about diagnosis, it's about from prevention to diagnosis to follow-ups and to cancer care.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Diva. I am
Thank
really,
you.
really
I'm
grateful
glad to be a
that you
part of
came to us, you blessed us, and we are really looking forward to having you on Red Nexa platform very soon.
Sure.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Red Nexa, for this opportunity.